Clint, we'll test our audio, make sure you can hear us. Dr. Boone, can you hear us? No.
No, it's connecting.
Oh,
I can hear you all.
okay.
I can too, with
All
Debbie.
right.
No, Clint should be able to hear you.
Dr. Boone, can you hear us?
Yeah, I got you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, Jennifer. We will give it just a couple of minutes. I'm trying to get it to work on my computer here. Now I can see who else is in here.
All right, I have one.
I can see who's back. Thursday, here we go. We're gonna give it just another minute, see if we've got anybody else come in. I'm pulling up the Zoom on my computer so I can see in the background who all we have with us as well. Let's see. Now I got it. Should start in a second. Not my video or it doesn't take up space. That's. Yes, let's, here we go. We're good.
Good.
All right,
Yep, that's it.
Mr. Jesse.
Mhm.
Mr. Jesse, want to be sure that we can hear you and that you can hear us. I can. Yeah, it shows that your mic is muted.
All right, there it goes.
There we go.
Yep.
All right. If it's
I'm-
okay.
I'm here and I have Miss Baker with me. When it's
Okay.
her turn, when it's her turn, turn the camera towards her.
All right. If you don't mind, I'll just try to take a moment just to help call roll. You want to do that, or you got your list? All right. I'm gonna let our board president, Brian Jolly, kick off our meeting and call roll real quick. Shall we have a quorum?
Hey, good afternoon. I have 1:02 PM, December 21st. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Present, we have Dr. Lenore Newsom, Dr.
Here.
Rodney Richmond, Dr. Clint Boone, Dr. Debbie Mack, Mr. Harold Simpson.
And you, Rodney.
I did.
Okay.
Mhm.
We have a quorum. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Kirtley.
I could hear it on YouTube. I turned it on.
We'll turn over to Ms. Bales. If you want to kick off for us.
All right, we're here in the matter of case number 2023-076. Heather Baker, a pharmacy technician, license 12647. The informal committee met on December 5th, 2023. And after reviewing the evidence at the emergency hearing, voted to suspend Ms. Baker's pharmacy technician registration. She has appealed that decision. She's represented by Mark Jesse, who is present here with us. And I've got two exhibits I want to present that kind of give the background information of this. One of which, exhibit number 1, is a email from Tara Swaim, the pharmacist at Kroger, to Dr. McCready that caused us to seek out an emergency hearing. And the exhibit 2 is a document that Dr. Swaim wrote to Kroger Corporate. I've talked to Mr. Jesse about this case and he has confirmed with his client. I guess, Mark, if you want to sort of discuss kind of what you were talking about.
Sure, just briefly, Miss Baker got evicted from her home and was in the process of moving and missed the notification originally that there was going to be some action taken against her. She was working at Children's Hospital in the pharmacy for a number of months, and it was only after the suspension action was taken that she became aware of that. She is aware that she's supposed to keep the pharmacy board updated as to a current address and has indicated she'll rectify that in the future. What I had talked to Ms. Vales about is I have not had a hearing in front of the pharmacy board, but I've done a number of hearings in front of everything from the school board, the bondsman's board, the insurance board, the nursing board, as it pertains to some type of disciplinary action against a person who holds a license with the particular board. In a nutshell, Ms. Baker, who's here and was prepared to testify, has indicated that there was some type of personal conflict between her and this manager of the store. She says that she quit her job. The manager wrote it up as that she got fired. And there was some claim that she had bought an item from the floor at Kroger, where the pharmacy is located, and had not paid for it, which she completely denies. There's no videotape or anything of her doing so. But what I had talked to Ms. Vales about is she's been working for months at Children's Hospital. They want to take her back. They would like her license reinstated. But I know in some cases, dealing with boards, we can work out either an agreement or an order, like placing the person on probation with some oversight. And I didn't know if that's something the board would be interested in considering. But it seems to me that if she was accused of stealing a Hot Pocket from Kroger and had gotten a misdemeanor charge over that, would not necessarily lead to an absolute suspension of her license or loss of her license forever and into the future.
And Mr. Jesse and Ms. Vales, if I could add, just for our board members, we're treating this very much like an informal, instead of swearing each person in and going through strict kind of rules of evidence, just to say we're almost treating it like mediation. But for our board members to know, this is a case where, as he's explained, it sounds like she is aware that she does need to keep us up to date on where she is living or what her best contact information is. I think it's something that, had she gotten that or known that or had kept that updated, the informal committee would have seen her last month. So you guys may actually want to just talk directly to her. That's something that, Mr. Jesse, our board members do a lot. It's something that the informal committee may or may not have decided to suggest the emergency suspension of her license if she had kept us up to date where she was and been there to actually talk about the allegations and what her plans were that day.
All right. Do you want me to have her just kind of give an informal summary of what happened?
I believe that's what our board members are generally going to want to hear from. I think that will help expedite the whole discussion.
Okay. All right, Ms. Baker, if you could just explain to the board your understanding of what happened and what led us here today.
Yes, on this certain day, it was close to lunchtime, so I'll say about 1:15. Tara came in and she sat in her office with the door open. I was checking in the order just a little bit before it was time for lunch. So as I was doing that, her lead technician left the pharmacy to purchase something on the clock. Once she witnessed that, she went into a whole frenzy. She stormed out of her office, yelling and screaming at everyone. And she deliberately singled me out by pointing her finger in my face. I told her to not do that. And she proceeded to say, "Oh, you're toxic. Nobody likes you. No one wants to work with you." So I just said, enough is enough. I quit. I'm done. So I gathered my stuff and I left. So as I was waiting on my ride outside, she messaged me on the GroupMe app that we were all communicating with. She told me, "I will," and I quote, "I will never make sure you work in a farm. I will make sure you never work in a pharmacy again." And then after that, she blocked me from the GroupMe app. And then after I quit, she put in the system terminated and non-eligible for rehire.
I've got a question. Ms. Baker, what was the allegation? There's some allegation of a food item that was taken from the Kroger shelf that you didn't pay for. Do you recall discussing that with Dr. Swaim?
Oh, as far as that, I never admitted to theft of property. She pointed her finger in my face and saying, "Oh, you've been stealing. I know it." I did not respond to that. I said I quit, gathered my stuff, and left.
Okay, but did you take an item without paying for it off the shelves at Kroger?
No.
You never did that? And then what was the circumstance? I think Mr. Jesse already alluded to this, but after this, you moved or you didn't have an updated address with us. Is that what happened?
Yes, after after I quit, I basically lost everything. I really didn't know where I was staying or going to stay. So that was my fault, but I will keep that in mind for future references.
And how long have you been working at Children's Hospital?
I started working there on August 28th.
And have you had any personality conflicts or with any of your coworkers there?
No, not at all.
And there's been no other allegations of theft?
No.
That's all the questions I have.
Board members, you guys have any questions?
Yes, so I have a question and it relates to the amphetamine controlled substances. Were there ever any instances documented or even just discussion with you regarding taking amphetamines?
No.
Thank you.
I guess I'll have a question. So, I mean, I read the emails and it's like a complete 180 story here, but so were y'all accustomed to going and getting stuff off the shelf, eating, drinking, paying it later kind of thing, or what was the policy at that store?
Well, when I first started working there, people would, other coworkers, they would just leave the pharmacy, come back, no questions asked, nothing really happened. But when I started to do it, she would assume that I would just leave the job or leave the premises, but it was nothing of that nature. I would get my stuff, purchase it, and go ahead and eat it.
Mark, can you maybe move her closer to the phone or the computer?
So do you think there's any reason that this pharmacist would tell a completely different story than you?
I'm not really sure. As far as I know, she had an issue with me. I'm not really sure why.
Are the store aisles and when you check out all on video?
Yes.
And if you had taken something without going through the checkout line, could they have checked the video?
Yes.
Did they ever present you with any video that you purchased or taken an item without paying for it?
No.
There's cameras on every aisle of Kroger.
Yes.
There's cameras at the checkout.
Yes.
So if you were accused of taking a Hot Pocket, not paying for it, there'd be video showing you just walked out, took it, and came back.
Yes.
And question, how long have you been working at Kroger?
From August 2022 to June 19th of 2023.
Okay, and did you have any conflicts with any of the other pharmacists?
No.
And was this the only pharmacist that was there for most of the time?
Yes.
And you were full-time?
Yes.
Okay.
Harold, you're muted.
There. Okay, now can you hear me?
Yes.
Is there any professional conduct involved in this matter other than the taking of alleged taking of a Hot Pocket without paying?
There had been an allegation of inappropriately shopping while on the clock. But that's something that we don't have any we don't have any evidence of how much time that was or how often it happened or what that the allegation would be, you know, theft of time from an employer. The only thing we had, Harold, when it got down to it was the alleged theft of cookies. And I don't know what the value of cookies are, but I imagine it's, you know, I'm sure less than $100, probably less than $10. The biggest issue we had in this was when we have an allegation of theft like that is the person's going to have to speak with the board at some point, and we're unable to get a response from her at that time, not knowing she had moved or anything.
I understand. When did this alleged taking of the item without paying occur?
In June of this past summer, June of 2023.
Is that the date of firing?
I believe it was alleged at the same time that she, you know, she would say she quit. The file we got said that she was fired, is what they ended up putting in the system at Kroger.
But the taking was the same day.
Or either that day or the day before. I think it was that day that it was alleged, the day the confrontation about it happened.
There was like
Okay, I
June
got it.
12th
Thank
and
you.
June 13th, basically.
Yeah, it was the week before.
And no criminal charges.
No criminal
No.
charges at all.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions for board's counsel, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Are there any photographs of stolen, allegedly stolen, whether pictures of the cookies or a Hot Pocket or anything else?
No, we send a request as we usually do, and Dr. McCready sends those out. You know, once we get notice of some sort of termination for cause like this. And the two pieces of evidence that you have in front of you, Exhibit 1 and Exhibit 2, are the entirety of what Kroger has regarding this. They did say that she was not eligible to be rehired. I don't have, as Mr. Jesse said, I don't have any videotape of any theft from the shelves. I don't have any actual item that was taken, and the dollar value of that, it's unknown. We just have the two exhibits that were presented to you today is what Kroger provided us.
So just to lay a basis here, so you kind of already covered it, but since there's specific allegations, so similarly, we do not have any reconciled timesheets or statements regarding specific dates and times for which supposedly time was stolen doing personal shopping.
No, and everything regarding that is again in this these emails and this letter to corporate. I would say that it wasn't, normally there's some sort of investigation by corporate. And I would say that probably would have come up in an investigation, but we don't have that in this case.
Okay, and I can appreciate that, but I'm laying a basis here because I think this will lead to where my opinion goes.
Sure.
There was again discussion about amphetamine, but one statement says, I have no proof she ever took drug out of the pharmacy and do not suspect she did. But yet she goes on to say she may not have gotten her hands on controlled substances at Kroger, but I have zero doubt if she were allowed to continue to have access as a technician. So I don't know what the basis for that would be. So there's really no documents suggesting or indicating that any amphetamines were stolen, only the allegation that's in the letter we got. Is that correct?
Yes.
I would say that's a fair statement, yes.
Okay, so the only evidence we have are allegations. We don't have any evidence of anything being stolen, anything being mismanaged, any time being taken. We don't have any evidence. We just have innuendo.
Well, I have the statement for whatever weight you want to give it. That's the entirety of my evidence.
All right, and this is not an affidavit. It's not sworn testimony. This is simply an email.
Well, yeah, it's an email to the board staff. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. This is the report the pharmacy manager sent in to us to report the alleged conduct.
Okay, but there's nothing to back up what's in that report.
No, we don't have any video or photographic evidence.
Okay. Thank you.
So this is Debbie. I'm kind of with Dr. Richmond here. We don't really have anything to prove anything or show anything. It sounds to me like they were kind of running a loose organization in general there. And people were getting away with things. And then at some point they decided to clamp down. And then they didn't do really any kind of investigation to prove anything though. So, I feel like some things may have gone on there, but it doesn't look like it's anything we can see.
And
Or there was just personal conflict and they couldn't manage it between each other.
And I think the appeal that you're dealing with today, and once again, we're handling this fairly informally, given the time constraints, trying to do it in a timely manner. She's asking to basically have her ability to return to practice in pharmacy. I think Mr. Jesse is suggesting if the board is wanting some sort of probation or oversight to ensure that she's letting us know in a timely manner if she moves or she changes employment or something else, kind of throwing that out on the table. But the specific request is she would like to be able to go back to work. And our understanding from Children's is that she would be eligible for rehire and they would put her back to work.
Correct.
Are you ready for a motion?
Yeah, I was gonna ask that. Are there any more comments or anything?
I had one more thing to add. As far as shopping on the clock, she would display favoritism. She would see it as an issue if it wasn't beneficial to her. I remember her giving me a $20 bill to get her a Diet Coke from the store floor, or stand in line at Starbucks down the street for her coffee and whatnot, all while on the clock. So unless it was beneficial to her, it was a problem.
Okay,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Ms. Baker. So reading through the statement here, not clocking out or clocking in early, or stealing time, shopping on the clock, disappearing for long periods. Were you ever given any formal counseling or progressive discipline for any of
No.
those matters? Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anyone else have any comments? Okay, at this point, I would like to entertain a motion.
I have a motion.
Well, and we'll let Dr. Jolly take it since we do need to count as a full meeting, if that's okay, Dr. Newsome.
Yes, that'll be fine if it's full. Okay, go ahead.
So is there any any additional discussion to be had? Go ahead, Mr. Simpson.
Okay, my motion is that we reverse the earlier emergency suspension and we dismiss the charges for lack of evidence.
I'll second that.
I heard Rodney do a
Yeah,
second.
so I have a motion by Mr. Simpson. I have a second by Dr. Richmond. Is there any additional discussion before we take the vote? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
So Ms. Vales, that's something we will basically write up, reverse, and we can reactivate her permit.
Yeah, I'll get it reactivated in our database today and I'll write up an order reflecting what the board's done and send it to your office, Mr. Jesse.
All right, I appreciate that.
Okay. Anything else anybody needs? Okay, guys, that is all we had. Thank you so much for getting with us on short notice. I hope everyone has safe travel and a wonderful holiday. We'll see you again soon.
All right, thank you.
Merry Christmas.